family law ends up being the juiciest, most interesting topic when it comes to divorce and relationships.
I call it the Jerry Springer law.
Yeah.
Because it's entertaining. Not that we want to be entertained by people's families breaking apart, but it's just juicy. It's like there's always some salacious thing, underlying tone in whatever occurred. Florida's a no-fault state, so everyone always wants to tell me what everyone did wrong or what happened. And I'm like, it's relevant only for me to know why your marriage fell apart, but I can't then go to the judge and tell him why your marriage fell apart unless there was marital waste. Otherwise, it's irrelevant.
It's like,
to my case.
It's so funny. It's like a defendant who walks into court, right? Like in a criminal case. And it's like they want to tell the judge, I didn't do this happened, that happened, that happened. And the judge is like, this is irrelevant. I don't want to hear it. It has nothing to do with today. Exactly. You'll have a trial at some point.
Exactly.
Right? But like you said, Florida's no fault state. So explain that a little bit more so people understand. Like, does that mean that if a spouse does the most horrific cheating, they've been dating 4 different people and they've been keeping it and hiding it, it means nothing in most circumstances when it comes to the divorce. Like, you can't use that to say, hey, he needs to pay me more money or she needs to pay me more money. Doesn't change a thing.
Well, it does a little bit. So in that example, where there's cheating, if the husband was spending money on the 4 girlfriends, let's say he's taking them out to dinner, he buys one a condo so he can go and see her, they go on vacations, that's marital waste. That's considered, obviously, infidelity.
And when you bring that to the court, what's the ultimate effect? They're able to get a larger share, I guess, of the marital assets because part of it was wasted due to the infidelity.
Yes. And then you can also use infidelity for alimony. That's in the new statute. It's not a huge factor, but it can definitely be used to say, he's bad, I need more money, and this is my need because he was so bad and he wasted and he did all these bad things.
Yeah.
But it's not... it's a no-fault state where, let's say, you guys just fight a lot or something you can't agree on, your parenting or something else happens. That is not causing money to be wasted or any of the, assets to be, negatively impacted. Yeah. You don't bring up why you broke up, basically, to the court. You just say your marriage is irretrievably broken, which means there's no point of return and that no one's at fault. So there are states where, let's say, someone is at fault, where, let's say, a husband cheats. The state that has fault divorces will penalize the person at fault.
Really?
And the law applies however it applies. But Florida does not do that unless it's waste.
Got it. That makes sense. It makes sense, especially, like I said, if they're spending a bunch of money on somebody or they're taking the vacations or they're going to a strip club and they're, paying tons of money. That would be taking away from what the marriage has.
Yeah, and I think they were trying to make it where people were not litigating over irrelevant things because who's at fault for why the marriage is broken? What's the outcome? There is nothing tangible from that. It's just drama, basically. So unless there's actual negative impact to the marital state, the courts, I think, were trying to remove that from it because it makes it just so much more emotional, so much more, dramatic and hurtful to people to have to litigate things that, don't really have an impact on the financial part of the marital state.
What do you see? And I'm wondering if you see this just because of your experience with relationships and couples. Like, what are the things that end up causing the divorces that, like, in the clients that you see? I mean, and there has to be a wide range, but is there any specific, what's the highest thing that ends up resulting in relationships falling apart?
I mean, obviously infidelity is a big one that's been common throughout mankind.
Yeah.
I think financial infidelity, that's where one spouse is doing things behind the other spouse's back financially, where they're either spending money, wasting money, not, let's say one spouse works, another spouse doesn't, but the one spouse that works, they control the money. So the other spouse has no idea what's going on. So they can fight about money issues. I think some people fight when, let's say, one spouse refuses to work and the other spouse wants them to work. I see that common thread. I also see a lot of, sadly, people divorcing when the children grow up. Now they're like, we stayed for the kids, but now we're miserable. We've been miserable. We want a divorce. And the worst cases are the senior citizens divorcing at age 70 or plus. I'm thinking, what are you doing? This is terrible and so sad because they just can't do it anymore.
Really?
Yeah. Or one person gets sick, in sickness and health, some people really don't uphold that vow. I've seen where someone was sick and they were in their 70s and the woman just did not want to have to take care of her husband, which was awful.
Yeah. That is awful.
She just said, like, I can't do this. This is too much for me. I then suggested putting him in a home, but then she was like, but then I have to pay for that. It just became this really, financial decision, but it was heart-wrenching.
Yeah, that is really sad. That is really sad. So you got infidelity. Yeah, finances must be, like you said, finances is a huge thing.
Yes.
And you hear about it with that one spouse is working and one spouse isn't a lot. You just hear it just in general, it's like, I think there's some people that just build up an animosity and it's like eating them up and, and then, they end up getting involved with someone who just has no drive or whatever, to get out and do things,
Yes. And I think too, when you have small children, that's one thing, but then when your children are older or even in college and you're still not working, one spouse can, like you said, build resentment because they're thinking, what are you doing all day? Why am I paying for all of this? Or I'm stressed to the max to make sure we're living a certain lifestyle and you're just shopping all day.
Is there, I guess since Florida's like a no-fault state, is there ever situations where like private investigators are sent out, like in your cases, to watch and monitor? And what would be the reasons to send a private investigator out to watch another spouse?
Well, I mean, like we were discussing, infidelity can be a negative. So if you catch your spouse cheating and they're wasting marital funds on their affair partner, then you want proof that he's actually out to dinner with this person as opposed to saying, I was out with my buddy or my business associate, because then that's not waste.
What's the craziest story with a private investigator that you've seen?
I mean, it's not crazy, but I had a case where the husband had a suspended driver's license for multiple reasons, from being a prosecutor, how your license can get suspended. And he would drive their daughter around, which is very unsafe. And he would come to court and lie and say, I don't drive her around. That's a lie. And so I hired a private investigator and had him film him driving with the daughter in the car. And then I brought that to court with my private investigator and the video, and the judge took his time sharing away until he fixed his driver's license.
Yeah. Wow.
So, I mean, a private investigator can be a very good tool when you can't prove something. It's without an independent witness, because you could say to the cows come home, he's cheating on me. Well, where's the proof? Where's the, like I said, the bank records?
Or he's driving around with our kid and he doesn't have a license.
Yeah. How are you going to prove these things? And I always try to explain to my clients, I have to be able to present evidence to a judge. I can't just come in and you say something. Yes, testimony is, as you know, evidence, but sometimes testimony alone is not sufficient. So I need more than just, I know he's cheating on me or he's driving with our daughter in the car.
The kids call it receipts now.
Yes, receipts.
You need receipts, right?
TikTok,
receipts. It's so funny. It is so funny. But now that you talk about evidence, I mean, like, you're a superstar lawyer. People don't have the same kind of experience that you have. So tell us, I want to talk more about your practice now.